We're flatting out of the small blind here. Getting one round of check rounds. Only improved to kings. That guy is a little fancy. I think out of the small blind I want to bet here. Out of the big blind I would go for another check just because my overall range is weaker. And yeah. So this guy seems to have an ace and he has 50 bucks left. Good for us that they are about 50 bucks in the pot and it's just a very, very easy jam. Got the call from the ace 4. All right. No, don't know what took you that long with this calling the setup here, the river 2 pair. 3-bet pot up here, I can check back, I can see that smallish. Oh, hello. This makes things better. I mean, it was good before, but just for like 1.5 streets of value, and now we got the freaking nuts right here. Hello, Mr. 7. So all the aces are splitting. I mean, it's super unlikely that someone has ace 7, right? Just 3-betting random ace 7 off. So yeah. Actually, this is one thing I'm not sure about now. Right now, I'm not sure how to structure your river range here. Whether I jam obviously all my ace kings, but which of my ace X am I jamming as well to kind of force him to call for the split always? Or do I add pure bluffs, or how does it look like? Like, I will definitely mark that hand for review, and ace 9. Sorry, buddy. Got you. Oh, he even turned the diamond. I feel with him. So always be ready to appreciate it as well when you are on the good end of a setup. Okay, here's 3-bet and a 4-bet. That guy. I mean, 100 bigs I'm always jamming. Now we are like 180 bigs deep, which kind of sucks because you never get it in good. But only calling now sucks too, and only like playing only call or playing only like get it in with aces or something is not the best strategy. So I need to stack up some of my ace kings. So I'll roll. And I roll a 3, so that's the most passive number that is around here. So we're going to call this one. And not sure whether that flop helped me against aces and kings, but I have a pretty good hand. This 22 bet looks pretty nice actually. Think about how much I want to be check raising that board in general. Not a smart move to use up my time bank for the checking part of it. So I kind of discount aces a little since he bets so small on the flop. It's more like maybe queens that just want to buy cheap cards from like the exploitive standpoint from what my experience is, and now I'm just jamming that one. I have plenty of bluffs. He can have like a king X bluff 4-bet. Yeah. And he has so many bluff catchers here. I'm not sure whether that is the right move, but it looks huge, but it's like 1.7 times the pot, so it's not massive. Blockers are a thing, you know, like when he has a king, I obviously always have the bluff, and the other way around. When he doesn't have a king, like when he has queens, for example, I pretty much never have a bluff, so I would not put queen jack into that range, for example. But yeah, another one that we could look up, just like, but it's tough to figure out how do ranges change really, just because of the slight deepness. 180 bigs instead of 100 or 120, which kind of plays the same. But yeah. Having a really strong hand and lots of potential bluffs is always a good idea to just click that all-in button in a spot like that. Buck 21. Like, I don't know whether you have that too, like I see so many names and just have kind of a story to it in my mind, or like something comes up, and this guy I know is a friend of Elliott Smith, who is a friend of mine, and he somehow, and I think he won a scoop event where Stefan Schillhabel finished 2nd or 3rd. I don't know, like that's always, come on, this is not a thing here. Always comes up to mind when seeing that name. I could obviously flat, but he cannot have a 5-bet folding range here, so Alright. Well played. Not so well played. He can just jam, like I don't know, just giving me one more option with a hand like pocket jacks is really not a good idea. Okay, and yeah, one more thing about the huts. Usually I play often without a hut because I'm moving places a lot, and I just, wow, this is okay, you got me. And I'm not playing the same games over and over again, so I have the problem that I don't have sample on lots of those players. And right now I started a new database, and just to collect new stuff, those guys, and yeah. So actually I do not really need to use that hut. Like I have 300 hands here, 200 hands. Actually I started 10 days ago, and 2 days ago, and I played like 8,000 hands in that time. So it's really not too helpful. And in micro stakes you will have the same thing, because there are just so many different players. Here it's at least the same guys over and over again. So this guy here check raised me on that flop and went into check call mode on the turn. Pretty interesting. Can be just like a king-queen type of hand. I mean, it's a hand I'm winning against, so it's all cool. King 10 off, okay, with the king of hearts. Low frequency check raise, that's kind of fine actually. Definitely writing that one down. Down here I squeezed, I got the call from SN Slaver. I see bet small on that board. Actually, no, we were heads up on the flop. And yeah, I hope to check down against ace jack here pretty much. It's not the one that I can't bluff catch too much. He might be floating like, I don't know, what is there a natural bluff here? I think he can turn something like 7-8 into a bluff actually. Obviously some ace X of diamonds come to mind, but against the squeeze as the first guy, how often is he just calling a ace 9, ace 8 of diamonds, ace 5 of diamonds that we need? Yeah, just, I don't think so. And yeah, that jam is interesting, but I'm just going to fold here. Don't need to call too much against the jam. I'm not really scared of getting bluffed too often here. Here I float in a 3-bet pot. My backdoor straight and flush draw. I hit my backdoor flush draw, so I have a flush draw now. And I have a flush now, so that's really great. And we will jam all in here. Really tough to have a bluff here. But okay, I mean, I have a freaking second, that's right. That's not necessarily the guy who should be betting, but often. And there is mainly something like nut advantage right? So like, let's check out, for example, the top 10% of both people's ranges and see how equity runs just for those top 10%. Those are the hands that want to play a big pot. And whoever is the favorite there probably wants to do more of the betting. And yeah, first of all, we need to know how much betting we want to do, and this is pretty much the value hands or the nut equity is dictating that to us. What is that small? You really got ace 10 here. I'm doing a super random race here. Sometimes you need to do that. I have all combinations of 8-9, 8-10. Wow. Okay, he owned me. That's good. So just the reasoning for it. Now we have it here. He c-bets small on the flop. He c-bets small on the turn. He c-bets small on the river. And I'm just thinking about what does my range look like. I do have all kinds of 10x. Sure, they are calling. I do have all kinds of queen x. Sure, they are calling. I'm confident enough to raise something like king queen, maybe even queen jack on that river. I'll show you again. Sorry, guys. So here. Yeah. So let's run the hand again. That's pretty interesting. So 3.5x, I call. He c-bets small. Here, I'm calling backdoor overcard, backdoor flush, backdoor straight. Pretty standard. So, turn is a queen. He sizes down, so he has either a weak queen or a weak 10 or or like a 10 that wants to still go for 3 streets, or like some other stuff, like lots of mixes. But this is the main reason why he wants to choose this bet sizing here. Sometimes, I'm definitely calling. And just think about the hands I'm calling too, which is like, I don't know, all 8-9s, all 7-8s, any 10, any 6, any queen, etc, etc, etc. And well, now we got that river and he bets small again. And I think about what is my raising range first. I have a bluff catcher. It's definitely fine to be calling, but I think that people changing their sizing are like under bluffing insanely, right? So there are no natural bluffs left. If there is like a deuce, he can have 7-8, and it's like well, I have nothing, I'll try the last time bluff. He can do that, and this is happening. But here on that board, I think he just always has that kind of 10 or a weak queen. And I'll look at my range, and it's like, well, I do have lots of hands. I'm definitely raising king queen plus. I have the river 2 pairs. I have all 6-7s, all 6-7 off. It's close. 10-7 suited, all queen 7 suited. Okay, that's not too much. I do have 13, 14 combinations of 8-9. So I sometimes c-bet the suited ones, 3-bet them most of the time actually, and yeah, king queen, maybe even queen jack. Oh, come on. And what does that mean? I can add some bluffs, and it's quite well. I can represent something, which is good, right? So oh, I got some spots. Let me wait a second. And now it's about choosing the right bluffs, right? PO will show you like a 5% mix of all kinds of hands, and it will always call my hand and never raise it. I know that. But I think calling is always minus EV here. And just having spots here. And yeah. So I think about raising whether it's plus EV or not. Apparently it was not, but I can kind of represent us on something, and people are like always having it in that pool. So you really need to play against me specifically to find those bluffs or some other good players. Like standard is just that there no bluffs exist, right? And yeah, so I just went for it with that hand. If he has a bluffing range, I'm not blocking that. He's not bluffing that sizing with busted diamonds, and the one thing that people never fold is when they improved on the river. So especially blocking that 7 on the river is way better for me than anything else, I think. But it's obviously a non-Pio bluff and it went wrong. He called me off with 10-8. And yeah, the way he snapped me off doesn't give me a good feeling, but yeah, it's fine. I'm happy with my decision at that point of time. So okay, let's keep going. At ace 10, I 3-bet that guy who 3.5x under the gun. I get that cold call from that guy. And now he leads and definitely raising. And yeah, not happy to get it in, but would obviously get it in. And well, that lead is just never a jack. That's the thing. It's so often our king. But as someone with 3.5x and calls a 3-bet and then leads out on that board, well, he won't fold a king. So maybe if I go all the way, but for that I'm not too sure. So I take my showdown value that I have against something like queen 10. And yeah, just hope for the best. Hope to hit, obviously. That's not a hit, not exactly. And pot, so maybe he just had ace queen, or I don't know. Believe him now. Oh yeah. Weird hands happening here. We got check raised here. I'm definitely betting here. He can have like king queen, king 9 type of hands that are just on a give up but have lots of equity against my hand. And now there's just one sizing, that's for sure. Snap, oh wow. That zoom is a wild world here. Lots of nuts around there. Okay. I mean, not sure how often he should check raise a hand like that. Like his 2 pair outs are kind of shit if he hits a king. Obviously 5 is great. Right now he has kind of a value hand, but it's a great one to protect his range a little. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a value hand, so it's always fine to check raise, but I think I wouldn't do it too often with that hand. Not sure. Up here, next very interesting spot. Someone min raises my c-bet here on that board, which I do with a wide range, and that doesn't make any sense. So I'm just telling him this doesn't make any sense, and I just c-bet small again, right? I want to keep the betting lead. Not allow him to live. Like, I can do that with all kinds of queen jacks and stuff as well. This is really wild what's going on here. Okay, looks very interesting spot here. So first let's finish that hand here. Turn the 2 pair. Yeah, when they call turnover bets, they always, let's see, I timed out here. I 3-bet that guy with 3.5x again, but that's a fine board to be checking anyways. So I'm happy about that. And I'm on sit out already because I have no time bank. We got it. So he open raises on the hijack. I 3-bet the small blind. This guy cold calls now, so I hope he does not have tens. And Luco Freak calls as well. That crazy guy from the last hand with 3.5x and pots that board. And yeah, let's hope to get some money in. checking again. A little crazy here. I mean, his flatting range is like Pierce, so I get one street out of 9s or some broadways, and I want them to hit. I don't get a single street. This guy, his name is Luco Freak, and he plays a little freaky from just seeing one hand and 2 open race sizings, so anything is possible. And now this is a good card probably. And it's again, do I go for the check raise or the bet? And I think I go for the crazy check raise here. It sucks when I can have like ace-5 suited type hands. Check call here. Well, against that guy, I'm probably not check raise bluffing right now after, with that set of information. This guy should always bet his ace-queen against him if he has it. So I'm not really losing value against anything. I have the chance that some kind of king-queen, king-jack is bluffing now. Nothing is bluff catching here. When someone has pocket 9s, they are not bluff catching against me. So that's really sad now. Wow. That hurts. Okay, I was missing value because that guy cold called his ace-queen and decided to check it here. This is so... I mean, this guy overcalls his king-jack, so we now know for sure he's just bad. And I guess there, in this cold call, there is a clear reason he does not do that as a standard. It's because he knows that this guy is crazy. And against that guy, then not betting ace-queen suited, well, that really hurts. I mean, how can you? I just don't get it. Like, what do you need to think to come to the conclusion of, well, checking is better? Like, there is, I can't imagine, like, no way. Okay, so let's look at the hand. I don't know where this winnings come from actually, but well, seems like I won 2 big pots in a row, right? That was probably before starting the stream, like when I just started grooving into it. But let's look at the biggest pots. First, we played 1500 hands already. That's pretty good. So yeah, unfortunately, I cannot see the screen that I'm showing you right now. Connect. I have like some. Maybe I can. If I show that to you, this is how it looks like for me right now. It says connect Facebook. Usually, I see my like what is streamed there right now. So oh, found it. There was a camera button. Okay, all good again. So you can see it well. We check out that here. Queen 7 suited, standard. I bet large, which I do sometimes. I bet have lots of small bets, lots of large bets on that board. See betting high frequency. He decides to check raise me with something that is kind of a value hand. It's fine. I'm not doing it against the big sizing, but yeah. So then he decides to check call. Puts me on king queen. Like now he put himself in kind of awkward spot, right? He got a good hand. He built a pot, but he's out of position. So it's like now he is calling against a range where he has no clue how much his 5 is worth. And even turning that, rivering that king does not tell him anything, right? He has to call, but I improved to like queen 9 and ace queen, etc, etc. So, and this is just a cooler. Okay. Next hand. Oh, I remember that one. That was fun. So this was a cooler for me. This is a like kind of low frequency, 20-25% 3-bet. So it's sometimes in my range, and he ran into one of those combinations. Calling down ace-9 is no, every ace is splitting on the river. He sometimes runs into ace-king. I want to look up the strategy here that I need to play, whether I jam weaker aces, pretty much just to try to get him off the chop, or only good things that can happen. But by jamming those, I force him to call all of the other aces, or I polarize and use like air and make him indifferent between calling, like with something like ace-9, for example. There are 2 options. I can imagine both. Then, oh, this was the one we lost here. Yeah, like no clue what that is here. It's like he cannot fold, right? So he is effectively all in. There is no hand that can bet half the stack because there's not really a hand that has less than 25% equity. Right? If I jam here now, he needs 26% equity and there's no hand that can fold here. So effectively he is all in. I can decide to jam, but he gives me another option. I can just call if I want to. Like let's say I mean it's not really happening, but in general this is not a good spot to just give villain other options. It's queen, okay, at that king 10, he check raises, goes for the check call. I mean, it's a bluff catcher, right? How bad can it be? That one here, we check it down, and then I said in game when I'm the big blind, I mainly check that and try to go for a check raise, because I'm just checking most of my range and don't want to split there too often to be always check folding. Doesn't matter multi-way too much, but still, like just a thing I do. And here I just get it in against that guy. He reverses a 4. That was a cooler for me. Here, what was that? Oh yeah, I just barreled twice. I'm unblocking hearts, which is kind of important. Like the things he's floating is like queen jack and queen 10 and jack 10 of hearts. I don't want to block that. I do block calling range. Ace jack and ace 10 of diamonds are calling for sure, and he has it for sure. I'm not blocking folding range, so it's a good idea to double barrel. I do have equity as well. It's an okay candidate to jam as well. I just decided against it here because I think that he was calling on the lighter side if I'm streaming and I'm talking about him and whatever. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. This pot, I think we haven't seen it on 1K on the outer table. That was before the stream actually, I think. I'm not sure, I don't think this is a thing, but he thinks probably, I'm 4-betting ace queen here for example as well. So he thought the queen high board is really good for him and he started leading out. And I'm sitting there with my ace king and king 10 etc. But what I do in those spots where a bet like this doesn't make any sense is, well, I say thank you for adding that money to the pot and I play my old strategy pretty much. I can fold my weakest hand here if I want to, right? If I happen to 4-bet my ace 8 of spades here, I'm folding. But what I mainly do is not calling, but putting out a very small c-bet, right? I just say like, okay, this is pretty much in the pot, and I just put out my small c-bet, and I raise it. So I can do that with like something like ace 8 of hearts perfectly, or any kind of shit. Because I risk 285 to win 635, and that never has to work to make it a good bluff, and it works quite sometimes. Okay, king, c-bet small. I overbet the 7 because it's not a game changer. He doesn't have any turn 2 pairs. Betting normal sizing is fine too, but he has that turn suited 2 pair. That's a little sad, and yeah. Standard, standard, standard. Oh, this spot. Oh yeah, right here. This sizing is a little... He sizes down to 20%, and we are deeper. Like 25% in those spots is kind of the standard. This to me looks like something he just typed in manually, and why do you choose to size down manually? Right? Might be wrong again, maybe he's using that sizing just always. It doesn't tell me anything about his range, but it looks more like it's not aces because they want to protect and get money in now. It's more like maybe queens, getting a call and then checking down, whatever. It's a weak king, it wants to do the same. So I could check raise here, but there are lots of bad turn cards, so I don't want to build a pot out of position. I will wait for a bad turn card first to either play a smaller pot or wait for the break turn to play a bigger pot, right? It's pretty much the information I want to get whether the turn will be the 9 of clubs or not, right? I don't have any nut equity, and my hand will never be improving. So if he bets here, I'm check jamming, by the way. And here on that brick run out, I have plenty of bluffs, no big deal, and I'll do that with some of my bluffs. Not with a queen jack, because I'm pretty much playing against queens and jacks. He will never fold a king. And yeah, so if I have my 6-7 of clubs here, I play it the same way. Okay, king 10 suited calling here. pretty standard. Lucky run out. 4-bet. Yeah, I randomize between small c-bet and big c-bet. Checking sometimes is fine too. And yeah, so far so standard. Well, most of the big hands are just standard. We talked a lot about that. I don't want to see it again, about that bluff I tried here. That did not go well, unfortunately. But yeah, we went through that. Let's check out some more. Queen 10 here against our crazy friend Steffen. He goes for the check raise, which makes sense with lots of hands on that board. He does have some nut backdoors at 5, 3, 7. All improves him to like good straight draws. The 6s have a 2-outer to a set, which is great. He has the backdoor flush draw, lots of equity. He needs to protect his hand though against something like Jack 10 of spades that I might be c-betting. And he has plenty of fold equity. So now sizing down on the flush card, it's perfectly fine. And yeah, now check calling. You know, it's a random bluff catcher. Probably fine. Leads me to the fact that he might be check raising too much. But who knows? Not interesting. Here, that was on the outer table as well. I 4-bet my king queen suited in that spot. Sometimes call, sometimes 4-bet. On that board, I go with a bigger c-bet. And yeah, get the fold. It's great. That one was interesting. That was before we started the stream. I remember that. Small blind flat. First of all, let's take a note here. Small blind flatting ranges are very, very narrow for pretty much any players. So it's very interesting to know something about it. Because when someone flats ace queen off here and I see him flatting again, well, I know he probably has a range that is like 60 combinations, and now I know 12 of them. Might be a mix too, that he only has like half of them in the call or half of them in 3-bet, but if you see that a couple of times, gives you a pattern. So I went for the thin river value bet with king queen here. And he called me off with ace queen high, which I think is terrible. Yeah. All right. Maybe that's one of the spots where you just hope to go for the triple barrel with pocket threes, right? Okay, that hand was interesting. He has that lead there. Random recreational player, I have to guess. So I think that I tell him that doesn't make any sense, pretty much like in the 4-bet pot with kings before, in that spot, that doesn't make any sense, so I stick to my plan and c-bet small here. He calls on that 10. I'm checking back. We can talk about betting here, I have so much equity. And yeah, maybe get him off a naked king at some point, but yeah, play it safe against people where I have no clue how they react to things. Yeah. Okay, here we had that pot. Oh. Oops. This is fancy. Oh, what did it do there? I totally missed the action. So we are in a 4-way pot, and Steffen, who is too light in every spot, is betting small here out of the big blind. I started the hand here, and I thought we were small blind versus big blind, so I had an easy call. 4-way, this is a little different. And the 8, well, I still have a bluff catcher, and he might be bluffing, so I was just calling. In a 4-way pot, I don't know whether that is a call, but I kind of owned him in that spot. That was cool. Okay, here I 3-bet my ace-10 suited. I call a 4-bet. It's very close. He made it very small. That might mean that he has a stronger range here, right? Or that I just get a good price. 2 options. I don't know. Against some players, I definitely should fold here, but he's a good player on the loose side, so. But nothing I can do on that board. We checked out that hand already, the king 5. So I call him Crazy Whale, and here it's like donk, half pot, random bluffs, turn river. Like that's the information I get from here. Yeah. Could even add that, but like I'm always thinking when taking notes, it's like, all right, what does it help me? I could write down that he's floating total garbage on the board like that, but what does it help me, right? What I wrote down now, that will help me if I'm lost in a spot and I look at that read and I see he does something crazy again, well, I tend more towards calling, so this is where it will help me. Bet, and bet false, not too interesting. So 4-bet here against him, we talked about that. And oh, that called 4-bet. Yeah, the winnings came from 1K. And 200 was running pretty good for quite a while, so yeah, it's all good. Okay, cool.